cabinet, which Otto Hoffmann talked about that he had built together with Susan, and he certainly wants to keep this one. You have got cups and glasses. Yeah, this is appropriate at the entrance to the library. This door lends itself to having all kinds of bulletins on it, but somebody really wanted to be neat and took them all off. Let's see if there's some hidden in the back. Some children's artwork is sitting back here. If you have to come around and see it, I don't know what it is. Everybody should shake everything. Shake. I can read this. Let's try this one. I learned that Quakers came to meeting to talk and listen to God. Well, that's nice. Be nice, it says on top. There's one on top, it says be nice. Okay, the library goes, you gonna help me? How about you sitting over here and work on your little books, or see if you can find some other books.
Okay.
Great entrance to the library. And right here appropriately is a cabinet, is right there, that Otto and, I believe Otto and Susan von Heitzmann together made this out of some wood that I believe also originated here on the property. And Otto sure has been telling me many times he does not want that to get lost when he sells the house. Anyway, this is the door here, which is usually plastered full of notices and posters and heaven knows what all, and somebody cleaned it off, I guess, so it looks a little nicer in case we want to sell it. Okay, on the other side, of course, I don't know if you want me to tell you about this again, but you can see what it says. It says on top, be nice, and I think that's very good. And here it says share, and share by Gregory, be fair, share. That's not the way you spell share, but that's okay. And it says down here, I learned that Quakers came to meeting to talk and listen to God. And everybody should share everything and help everybody. Okay. Okay. Well, this is our library, and for many years we have planned to update it or do something, make it a little nicer. But a year ago we really did it. We painted, well, I shouldn't get any credit for it. It was Liz Koenigke who painted the back wall, had scrubbed the boards, and we took all the books down, cleaned them, repaired them, and then came the question as to how to categorize them. When the library was first founded, well, it was created by John Barrow, one of the founders of the meeting, one of the benefactors, he and his wife. Without them, there would be no meeting house. And he also at one time was Librarian of Congress, and he loved to talk about that experience. So he set up the library in very proper form as librarian steward with all kinds of numbers at the back. And then some years later, someone came and said, well, it needs to be categorized differently in different sets of numbers on the back. The result being that the only way we could ever keep it in order is if we had a dedicated librarian on the library committee who had a lot of time. Well, this never really quite came off, at least not that it would last. So finally I looked around a little bit to see how other libraries, small libraries, were doing it. And I found that most of them did some kind of a color coding system. And this is what we followed. This has worked very well. And the credit, again, goes very largely to Liz, who did practically all the color coding in here. You can tell, and there's also a card here. I don't know if you want to follow me, because I cannot pick it up. It's taped down. That explains the colors and what they mean and what categories they correspond to. And then, by coincidence, the Barrow's grandson donated this little stand here. I happened to see him have a garage sale. He had it in the garage sale. I said, oh, this is what we could use for the library. And he said, oh, that'd be just fine. And saying goes, what goes around comes around. We have a real good system here, at least I think so, that we have a box where people put the cards out of the pockets if they borrow a book, and if they return them, there says book return, And underneath there's another box, and that says books, book donations for book sales. We have a great system for book sales around here, and I'm going to share that with you. It's a good secret. And instead of sitting here and spending days putting prices in books for book sales, 10 cents, 25 cents, 50 cents, which ultimately will net us very little because their sale was so little. We've done it differently. We try to raise money for a certain cause that everybody believes in, at least most people believe in, like our work in Colombia, the work of our friends in Colombia, South America, or for the Friends Committee on National Legislation, or something we all feel good about, and encourage people to make a donation and help themselves to a couple of books in return for the donation they make. And this way people donate just 50 cents, they'll donate $1, $5, $10, $50 or something. And this way we raise quite a bit on book sales, and we have another one. Anyway, this is what I could tell you. I could tell you a lot. We have just about the whole set of Pendle Hill pamphlets, which are wonderful reading. They're short, to the point. You know, you learn so much in just reading one of these little pamphlets. We have the index, but we have books on all categories here: religious education, Quaker history. Some books are hard to determine where they should go. We have some antique books there up there, and then of course we've been trying to repair books and relabel them, not necessarily professionally, but at least so they're usable again. And people donate books for the library, and some books we're trying to sort of display a little bit. We also have a little category of books by and about members of the meeting. And I don't see it, it's not a very, here it is. It's not a very large one. We don't have a lot of writers in the meeting, but we do have some books that were done here by members of the meeting. We have a children's category. We have up there a collection, and I don't know what we're going to do with it, a collection of a friend's journal that go all the way back to 1974, and some are even older than that, even from the days that they used this newspaper kind of print when they were really poor, short on money. Now that looks a little nicer. We have a lot of Bibles here, a whole collection of Bibles, and anyway, it's an exciting library. It really is a lot of fun. This is a very small room to be the library, and to be the office with a telephone, and to harbor the archives. Now, as we walk over to the archives, I do want to show you this picture here. This has been here so long that we thought it was part of the wall practically, until somebody painted the wall. We took it off and I took a closer look at it. This is a two-sided picture, and it is a letter written from one Quaker to another in 1819, and you have to look at it quite a while until it takes shape in your eyes and you can read it. And I corresponded with the Swarthmore Historical Collection, and they traced it down as to who had written this letter. In the old days when there were not that many people, you could do that. What always tickles me on this one is that he says here, I should thank for any assistance thou canst give me in a particular subject. Are there any books on the subject? His concern was the souls of the slave holders, how they could adjust to when the slaves would be free. And also he was very much concerned that in preparation for the freeing of the slaves, even though it was only 1819, and that was still far in the distance, that slaves need to be educated. You know, they were not allowed to be educated. So he made themselves very unpopular with that view. But he says down here, a child of one of my neighbors has had hold of my pen while absent a few moments and defaced my papers. Excuse the blotting. He's talking about these scratches down here. Really shows that children have not changed a whole lot. but I was getting tickled with this. But anyway, this was interesting to do a little research as to who had actually done this. It's quite historical here. And I have no idea how it got here either. Okay, here's the archives, and this is a fireproof chest, this one down here. And since this is also the yearly meeting archives, there was quite a bit of concern that we have a fireproof, some kind of protection for yearly meeting things were sent to us. It's never quite worked that way. Yearly meetings or other monthly meetings do not send us their minutes. And it's a good thing too, if they would, all the monthly meetings in the yearly meeting would send us all their minutes of all their meetings. We would have to build a couple more rooms just to hold it all, so I'm glad they're not doing it. So we have a few interesting things in here. We have the papers of the wonderful Mr. Starr in here. Here's some minutes that was sent us. Mr. Starr, who was a very lonely Quaker with a huge family living near Cisco on a peanut farm. He also ran for governor as a socialist at one time. Here, if you want to come closer, it's easy to pick up. These are the papers of the remarkable William B. Starr, a member of the Austin meeting from Cisco. He died in 1968. So there's some things that are of a special interest. But this is not holding all the papers. And times have changed. I wrote an article in the Friends Journal once on how the whole concept of archives has changed. It used to be one copy or one original of the minutes, period. Well, then with carbon copies you could maybe write 2, and then with the typewriter you could create maybe 7 copies if you use 7 carbons. Then came mimeograph, and you could make a great number of things, and you didn't have the valuable original anymore. That sort of vanished, that concept vanished. But now everything gets Xeroxed. Everything gets Xeroxed. So it's the whole concept of the value of an archive has at least changed, if not almost disappeared. We have earlier things, so 1954, before Xerox. Now these are of interest here. 1953, Friends Southwest Friends Conference, before it became a yearly meeting, Conference 57. These are all papers from the conferences in those days. And here we have the first yearly meeting in 62. See here? Then these are all, I sorted all this stuff once, I think in 87. I sat down and spent 3 weeks every day until all this amount of papers that had accumulated, just dumped places, sort things out and fill up many a wastebasket in the process. Anyway, this is about yearly meetings, and here, this is again the various minutes from the yearly meetings. This gets thicker all the time. Also, financial reports, and then come the newsletters. The newsletters are interesting to see the earliest from 1952 newsletters. Let's see, this is to take something out at random. These things are all mimeographed. You see, 1956 is really early. Now we were members then. We're the, except for Kay Lane, we're the earliest members. We joined in. We attended in 51 and joined in 53, I think it was. So it's interesting what the budget was. The budget was $723. We thought that was too much. But the mimeograph, that was quite a job. You had to cut a stencil. You don't even know what that is. Do you know what cutting a stencil? You still do? Most people don't have any idea what I'm talking about with cutting a stencil. Very messy, especially the...
Why don't you explain it though?
Well, you set your typewriter on, if you had colors, then you set it on blank. There was white, red, and blue. If you didn't have that selection, well, you just didn't. put on anything. And typed on a certain kind of material that had little hooks on the top, and then you use the mimeograph machine and hook it in there and be sure you have enough ink on the machine. It's just like a printing press, almost the same concept. And a bunch of papers, had to be certain kind of papers, a stack, and then you roll that thing by hand. And you hope that the ink would go evenly distributed on all these letters and not on your clothes and your hands and everything else, but it usually did. It was a messy job, and you wouldn't do it unless you really had a lot that needed doing. You wouldn't do it for just 10 copies. You would make carbon copies in a typewriter with that many. So the Xerox has changed, or the photocopies has just changed the whole idea. Sorry about the noise. There's the various epistles, the directories, all individual meetings have a folder in here. Not a whole lot comes. We don't save all their newsletters over. Would be endless, large space. Down here, the American Friends Service Committee, the various Quaker organizations. What's of interest are these two drawers. Those are the various Quaker concerns and Quaker things we've been involved in that one can check on. Here's the Austin Metropolitan Ministries. Just to go through something, is Howard Brinton queries. He was involved in queries about capital punishment, Casa Marianella, Central America, Church Roman United, Church World Service. Well, we're in the C's here. It goes on and on. Unfortunately, most people don't realize that we have this, because this is wonderful for reference. Fort Sam Houston. Well, I kept it in here because there were, especially during years of conscription, a lot of people involved from Fort Sam Houston got interested in nonviolence. Then various Friends World College and what funerals and Haverford College, handguns. What is interesting is prison reform. But what is interesting is marriage. Where did marriage go? Yeah, marriage, same-sex, articles about it. Marriage, same-sex in Austin, on marriage in general. We had to find so much material, I had to divide it into 3 folders. But this is very interesting for reference. If we get into a situation, then we know already what we did once. Emot Davis is his widow is still here in Austin. I didn't realize until I read the obituary that he is a descendant of Lucretia Mott, and I've been much in touch with them since. We really had a lot of fun together, his widow and I, to do some of the historical research, the connections to Lucretia Mott, Friends Music Camp, etc., etc. Anything you're interested in, see the Persian Gulf War, prison visitation, peace vigils, and whatnot. I need to do a little cleaning out here, but there's a lot of stuff that we can examine if you want to get involved in anything. Here's the rest of the alphabet.
Why don't you go through some of those again, like you did the first drawer? Maybe just mention some of the ones that seem important. Yeah.
Okay, Quaker essays. It's just sort of the things that turn up in newspapers. Quaker folklore, leadership grants. Let's see what we have. Race relations. Ramallah Friends School, that is in the news so much right now. Ramallah in the Middle East. Refugees, retirement communities. Sharing of work resources. ROTC shows that what we were involved with the ROTC. Letters we sent to the paper from the meeting and individually. There are only a couple of copies, there must be some more lying around. Scattergood Friends School, summer camps. Douglas Steer, well-known friend who's passed away a few years ago, an amazing person. Tax resistance, and the Texas Conference of Churches, Quaker office at the United Nations, United World Federalist, and on by the Quaker Fellowship, Wilmington College, Woodbrook in England, the Quaker Center, World Council of Churches, etc., etc.
So these are really the files of all the different programs and issues that are important to the Quaker meeting.
That are just well, some of them are in there for historical reasons. I still have John Barrow's labeling in there because it's, I think, important for us to see without whom we never would have had a meeting. It's their generosity that helped us get this meeting house, and a lot that's in it too. They paid for a lot of the renovation and little floors and carpet up front, and they were always available to help. It was important to them. This one here is individual members of the meeting have folders here if I have anything more than one piece. He was just not killed in a car wreck. And it seems to have bothered no one that this is accessible to everyone. Whatever I get that has anything to do with this one person, because in an Aristad he's passed away and he's long been gone, but it's interesting because he was one of the very earliest in the meeting, as were the Lanes who were here. And there's an interesting history behind each of these people. And where I didn't have enough material, maybe just one item I have here, friendly correspondence and alphabetically. And then also non-member weddings. It's the Zooks are also long gone. But anyway, I just still have a folder here for people. What else can I tell you while I catch my breath?
Well, how do you think that the archives or the library will change in the new house or just in future times?
Well, I hope it'll have a little more space. This has been very crowded. It would be a good idea to have more room for the library. I don't know to what extent it will change. When I'm gone, I don't know who will keep up the files at all. I hope somebody will. I hope it's going to be warmer than in here than it is today. I don't have much.
What about the concept of archiving, the way you've talked about just the changes in printing and press and everything? And I mean, do you have any perspective on how the Friends archives will change through time? Or how it has changed? I mean, you've mentioned that already to some degree, but if there's anything else you want to say.
Well, I think the entire concept of archives is changing now that things go into computer disks, and you want to look something up, you have to look at the website or something. It's just the whole thing, rather than looking into a file, into a folder, look at the website, which I have problems with because not everybody's got a website sitting there they can just look at. If they have one, they don't know how to find it. I don't know how to find things on computers. I think we make a mistake when we assume that everybody has just got a website at his elbow and can look everything up at any time. And I don't know if that's really better than having a genuine old valuable document. I mean, what if the Declaration of Independence were just on a disk someplace instead of a beautiful document that people make pilgrimages to see, in Washington. I don't know. I think there's some disadvantages to that. Still, Swarthmore College in Pennsylvania does have an enormous critical historical collection, library, and whatnot. I don't know. It will just be a gradual change, I think. And what else can I tell you?
I don't know. Is there anything?
Yeah, I mean, go to I think the photo boards they took home already.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
But we could do that.
Well, like everything that Friends do, it takes some time, and then they have to agree without a vote. And before you put together any kind of poster, any kind of regulation or suggestion or anything, it has to go through a bunch of meetings and hearings, and everybody sort of has to at least be halfway pleased with it. And the same thing with this think, I don't know, often it changed. In one word had to be changed. Well, let's change where it says return the books within 1 month. Started out as 2 weeks. Well, it took 6 weeks until we agreed to make it 1 month. And then what kind of picture to use and how to hang it. And then when we hung it, it fell down again. I don't know how they did it now. They had it hanging up from the ceiling once. I think they now managed to get a hole in the wall and hang it up. Now I see that people listed here. This is correct, but Marsha Roberts has left the meeting altogether, so she should not be on there anymore. There's a lot to be said for not going by majority rule and thereby wiping 49% of people off the table, so to say, and say, ha ha, I won. Because that 49% or even 1% may have a very valuable view which might cause people to rethink the whole issue. So in principle, I think, it's off the subject now, but it made me think of it. In principle, I think it's great to work with sense of the meeting rather than with majority rule, though it's very inefficient. But it takes a very skilled clerk to work to establish a sense of the meeting. Anyway, that's off the subject.
Yeah, that was great. What, so how day to day or week to week, how is the library used? And by who?
The library is used not enough, judging by the number of cards that are out. There are quite a few of them that people have taken out. We do have a sizable fund for it. We have not made enough use of it. I'm not pushing for buying new books because we have marvelous books there which people would read them before we buy new ones. Books are so expensive to buy, and we've lost so many books that people just don't bring back. And until we get people to bring back the books they take out, I just don't feel like spending $20 a book if it's going to disappear within a month or so. So I don't know if other people do not necessarily share my view that we should buy more books for it. And I worry about that once we get moved and set up again and see how much room we have. But this has been a very nice little library. It does not get used enough, and maybe it doesn't get publicized enough, or maybe people know everything already that's in all these books. I don't know. No way do I know how.
So how about, I mean, are any of the books used in first day
first
school?
I don't know which ones they're using, but of course they are depending on the age of the kids. And we have used books here like No Time, but the present reason there are 3 copies is that this was used as a text for study in the meeting. And there are others, and some of it is historically interesting to see how faith and practice has changed from the early issues of the 50s to the present one, and how different parts of the country have different issues of faith and practice and have different approaches to things. So,
Do you want to say any more about that?
no, I can't think of, I'll probably think of something after a while to say. Here's the older ones. I knew there were some older French journals that go back to the 50s. The one on the floor, I don't know what does it say on the boxes. They go back to the 50s.
64.
Yeah, maybe something like that. Chandelier was from my house. When I bought the house, it was in there. And it just didn't quite speak to me, so I brought it here. And it served the purpose very well.
Is it going to go to the new house?
I don't know. Probably not. It's just not that. I think it would be nice if we make it a point to take a lot of things from here to the new house. So it doesn't look quite so strange, you know.
So how do you think, you were touching on a little bit just a few minutes ago, you were saying you know, about what literature is here and what this meeting connects to versus other meetings? I mean, do you think this library looks much different compared to, let's say, a Friends meeting in Vermont or Iowa or,
Oh, I don't, that I cannot tell. I think if I would go to the Friends meeting in Vermont or Iowa, a lot of books would look awfully familiar. So, you've got these, you've got these, you've got these. They would have Pendle Hill pamphlet collections just like we have. The books may be advertised more, the existence of the library, more people might use it. Maybe some of the books would be in cabinets with doors. I've seen them behind glass, and then they wouldn't get so dusty. But I've had people come here and especially look at our files and say, oh, this is fabulous. Please come to our meeting once and spend a few days and put our papers in this kind of order. So that seems to be better than average. Books I cannot judge. I think now that we've done the color coding and have things in order and have labels on them, I think we're probably as good, if not better, than most of them. But you know, if you have a place where you have one or two nice elderly people, it doesn't have to be elderly, but they seem to have a bit more time, to devote themselves full time to the library, it probably would look a bit more professional. I've seen the library in Berlin, in Germany, which is much smaller than this, and well, it looks German, you know. Shelves are white and the books are cleaner and even better, not only in color-coded order but also in alphabetical order. But otherwise it's the same, but the books are all in German, most of them. It's basically the same. And basically they have the same problems, that books disappear, they don't get used enough, and not enough money to buy new ones. It seems to be pretty universal. What else can I tell you that's exciting?
I don't know. If I could maybe get inside your head, maybe I would know.
Yeah, well, I think my head is pretty well emptied out. We had a lot of stuff here from other organizations that use these rooms. I don't see any of it now. I don't envy the person who has to move all that stuff. I'll help with the packing. But and I'll coordinate the packing, I'll get the people here. But I think my days of lifting boxes full of books are over. Well, I'm just looking at the books that made by members of the meeting. It's this Kathy Cronkite wrote this one, On the Edge of the Spotlight. This really is sort of has things in here about few people who are connected with the meeting. Now, Texas Radicals celebrate the 60s. It's really, it's no business being here. But anyway, yes. I think this, Walter Long was very much involved with capital punishment. A couple of his books are in here. It's Rhodes Thompson. I think there's a mistake because I don't know what Rhodes Thompson is doing with this meeting. This is the book I wrote, Vietnam Viewpoints. Let's see, this here, people wonder what's this doing here, the clarinet and clarinet playing, and I keep saying, don't throw it out. David Pino, who's a member of the meeting, wrote this book. So, and let's see, this is an article. Oh goodness, it's 1962, the Ladies' Home Journal printed an article, or part of a booklet that I'd written, and that one should be sitting here, and it doesn't. Well, there's always updating to do, and maybe someday I'll collect all the articles I've written and put them in a little booklet form and set them up here.
Why do you think that the Texas Radicals in the 60s book shouldn't be in here?
Well, we have a section there for social concerns, and that's actually where it ought to be. But it does contain, um, I guess, short stories or quotations of several people who are known to us. Alan Polk, for example, here comes to meeting, he's a fabulous photographer. Val Liveoak is a member, used to be a member here, and is a member of San Antonio meeting. Well, I guess that's about the end of people in this meeting. Well, anyway, you can spend weeks sorting and resorting in the library and readjusting and fixing and moving it and thinking, well, wait a minute, maybe perhaps it should be in a different category, and how come the pocket has disappeared, you know, and maybe a piece of tape here would go a long way, and you know, you can do this forever and it's never finished. But I'm really proud, and again, a lot of credit goes to Liz, who would not just, Liz Koeniger, who would not just spend an hour or two, but she and I would spend days. He and I would work on the archives, and she would work on the books, and together we really would get things done. You cannot just spend an hour and then go home. It's something you take half a day, or better yet, a whole day, and really get into it.
So are you sad to see this library move out of this particular space?
Yeah, I'm sad to move out of the whole house, as a lot of people, my children are, even those who haven't been here in years, they still feel very unhappy about it. I was here when we bought the building. In fact, the last Friendly Notes, is it the February issue? Friendly Notes contains a letter I had written to John Barrow when he solicited opinions of meeting friends regarding purchase of this house. And so I sent him a long letter, and I happen to have a copy of it. So we printed that in the latest Friends Journal as Friendly Notes. It's sort of interesting. It was 40 years ago, and some of the concerns of very much again the concerns we have now regarding the new building. But there was genuine joy at the time that we finally had a place of our own, and the location was fabulous, and a big yard out there, the children's building, and it's something we could afford. I think we paid $22,000 for the place, and we saw ways in which we could get loans to cover the money we didn't have. And there was a general feeling of having come home, and that's what I expressed in that letter. Never realizing that 40 years later it would get published. So, yeah, I cannot visualize as finding a place, again, that so meets our needs and fills our needs. I have kept up the photos. Ta-da! Somebody took them home again, Maybe I should keep up with that business. Somebody makes those. Yeah, this is an early photo album of the meeting. It's, God, it's good. 1952, and the pictures are all falling out, and it looks to me like I have to. And it's sort of interesting to look at the various pictures to see what has happened to the people who were involved. It's a family camp. I saw these people were just meeting at that occasion and getting married later. That's the place they met. And unfortunately, you look at the pictures and you realize most of the people are not alive anymore. And there are a lot of stories to these, but this looks pretty awful. Here's some more photos. I think I'm going to take this home. You'll recognize this picture. I took it home already. This is Ethel Barrow. We have this picture in larger. I took this once. I couldn't remember anymore where does this picture come from. Well, I took it. That's where it came from. These homes so they wouldn't get damaged during the move here. Here's the rest here. Well, that needs a lot of attention here. Because this is a bit more recent, but still, this is a long time ago. You notice there's a game day outside. God almighty. There goes another project for me. Ta-da. Let's see. My daughter Heidi and her husband before they had children. Claire Riggs, who was a member for such a long time. In fact, already when we moved here. Joanna Vaughan's daughter. This is actually at Otto's house I think at a baby shower. Here's Joanna Vaughan, a few years younger. Okay, I think this must be one of the very first ones here, 1966 to 67. Predates you a little. There was a wedding where this is John Barrow with these two people got married here in the yard. Most of the following pictures are from the Barrow collection. When they passed away, I got some of these pictures, some of their pictures. Christmas card of our family. He is a grandfather now, this little boy. Gives you an idea how old this is, 53. Yeah, I think I need to take these home and I'm not going to bore you with who all these people are, but these are all meeting connected people here. Okay, I think that probably gets all the photos. Yeah, there's a lot of work waiting for guess who. Oh God, I need to go to the dentist. More pictures. Oh no. Okay. Hold everything while I get up. I get up slowly, okay?
Okay.
But you get to be my age. Get up slowly too.
I wasn't so slow.
Well, somebody started for taking pictures of everybody, and it's really been very nice. Some of these pictures are very old, and some of these pictures are people who have died. Some have died of AIDS. A lot of them have just moved away. Some I don't recognize. I have no idea who they are. Here's Judy and Kelly Horton, who have established Down Home Ranch in the meantime. Here where we planted Ethel Barrow's tree, which I was wondering what we're going to do with that, is out here. She has passed away several years ago now. Here, let me see, what did I just now see? My two younger children, Heidi and Stephen Timothy, at his college graduation. Such a celebration for me to see that child graduate from college finally, after he had for many years not considered that one of his most important actions. Well, anyway, they're just, but this is, I don't know where these came from. They must have turned up someplace, because the picture boards have taken someplace. I think the idea was to have things look a little nicer for when the showing these. They're showing this building here for sale. So,
You say that again?
Otto has just bought this piano. It is his actually. He paid for it. Since the last piano was in such terrible shape that it was not repairable, worth repairing anymore. This now it needs to be moved, but anyway, we've got a piano again. And this little stand turned up in a garage sale once, and it just fit right here. It's been real handy. Oh, okay, I'll take this home. Here's we had one photographer once took pictures of everybody. Here, Dick Hazlitt in 1967. And if this is not funny here. Here's Otto in his younger years in 67. This is this little girl's, little granddaughter's mother. She was 12 or 9 or something. My own oldest kid. Oh my goodness. What has become of all these people? These are not with us anymore. Oh goodness. This poor fellow went off the deep end. And so it goes. Okay, I want to show you the this oak tree. It's not a live oak, this is a post oak. So it doesn't shed leaves in the spring, it sheds the leaves in the fall like other trees do. It is one of, coming down here, it is one of the largest post oaks in Austin. I'm glad that when they built the sidewalk, they didn't say, oh, well, the tree's in the way, let's cut it down, but they built the sidewalk around it. There are other incidents where that was not done. Well, let me show you this here. This medallion, we established a program with the city of making trees eligible for medallions, outstanding trees. And this is obviously an outstanding tree, and it has a medallion which says Registered Tree City of Austin 1976 with the bicentennial replica of the bicentennial medallion above it. And it's set in concrete, and that's why it hasn't been vandalized yet. Now this does not give it legal protection, but it does show that this is one of the outstanding trees that is in the tree registry. I was very much instrumental in that because I felt if we protect houses which are maybe 80 or 100 years old, and not always very beautiful, the least we can do is protect trees that are often 400 or 500 years old. And not just cut them down to make room for a parking lot or something. And this is an example of it, and a tree like this increases the value of the property enormously because this has been especially beautiful.
How old is it, do you think?
We don't know. You can determine it only by taking a core sample, in other words, to drill a little hole into it and pull out with a hollow something, and pull out this section and then count the rings. And even that is not perfect because in some years there are 2 rings, and some years there are no rings, depending on the weather. But that would give you the best idea. But it is a very old tree. It must have been here hundreds of years, and you don't know if it's sitting on maybe some water underneath, in which case it will grow faster. Yeah, you cannot quite tell, but it's a tree. A lot of meeting members' pictures were taken right on that swing. through the mud. I'll let you go through it. It's this tree right there in the center. You see it?
The tall, thin one?
Yeah, that's the one we planted forever.
And you planted it for Ethel Barrows?
Yeah, and we have these pictures, that I showed you. And I guess it's not big enough one. Okay, this tree there in the center, the slender one. Many years ago, we planted this one for Ethelbera, one of our founders and benefactors of the meeting. And there are several pictures show most of the meeting, the big circle around it, and various people turning a spade to plant that one. Of course, Ethel is long gone, and it's one of the things one has to leave behind with the building. That is just one more little thing that is painful to have to leave behind. Part of the memories that one hates to have to give up. But we do have pictures. That's one comfort. This one belongs to the meeting. The other one belonged to the city, since it's on the city right away.